A human baby can't walk, can't run, can't fight, can't even hold up its own head. It can't hide, it can't climb, it can't make a single sound that isn't a dinner bell screaming into the dark. Drop it in a forest, and it is, by every measure, the most defenseless animal on the entire planet. A baby deer stands within minutes. A baby zebra runs within the hour. A human baby just lies there, soft, slow, loud, helpless. By every rule of nature, a creature this week should have been wiped out long ago. Predators should have feasted on us. And yet, here you are, watching this, which means every single one of your ancestors, as a totally helpless infant, somehow survived a world full of things with claws and teeth. So here's the question almost nobody asks. In a world of predators, why didn't the most defenseless creature on Earth get eaten? The answer is stranger and far more clever than you think. Start with how insane our situation actually is. Almost every other animal is born ready. A newborn wildebeest hits the ground and is running from lions within minutes. It has to be, or it dies. But human babies are born absurdly, almost dangerously early. Compared to other animals, we're basically born premature. Every single one of us. Our brains are so big that if a baby stayed in the womb until it was actually ready to function, its head would never fit through the birth canal. So evolution made a brutal trade. Get the baby out early while it's still tiny and helpless, and finish building it on the outside. The result is a creature that needs constant care for years, the longest, most helpless childhood of any animal alive. For most of history, that should have been a death sentence. A slow, loud, defenseless baby is exactly what every predator dreams of. So how did we possibly survive it? The answer isn't that the baby was protected by luck. It's that the baby was never, ever alone. Here's the first secret. In the wild, a human infant was almost never a lone target. It was the center of a fortress made of people. For your ancestors, a baby wasn't watched by one exhausted mother. It was surrounded by a whole group. Mothers, fathers, grandmothers, aunts, older siblings, the entire band. Scientists call it cooperative breeding, and humans are one of the few species on Earth that does it at this scale. The baby was passed from arms to arms, carried constantly, never set down in the open. And to a predator, that changes everything. A lion isn't looking for a fair fight. It's looking for an easy meal. It targets the straggler, the sick, the isolated. But a baby buried in the middle of a tight group of alert, tool-wielding, screaming humans, that's not an easy meal. That's a good way to get a sharpened stick through the ribs. The helpless baby survived because, in a sense, it came with bodyguards, a wall of adults that no predator wanted to break through. Now, here's the part that turns everything you assume on its head. You think a baby's cry is a weakness, a loud signal screaming, "Here I am," to every predator in range. But evolution flipped that into a weapon. A human baby's cry is one of the most disturbing, impossible to ignore sounds in the entire natural world. It's engineered, down to the pitch, to drill straight into an adult human brain and make it impossible to sit still. You physically cannot tune out a baby screaming. It spikes your stress, hijacks your attention, and forces you to act. And that's the genius. The cry isn't calling predators, it's instantly summoning the wall of adults. The second a baby is in distress, that sound yanks every nearby human to attention, weapons ready. So, a predator that moves on a crying infant isn't triggering a free meal, it's triggering an alarm that brings the whole armed group running. The baby's greatest weakness became its loudest line of defense. And it goes deeper, because our ancestors didn't just guard the baby with bodies, they built a safe world around it. There was fire. Most predators are terrified of flame, and for hundreds of thousands of years, the area around the fire was a no-go zone for almost everything that hunts at night. The most vulnerable members, the babies, were kept closest to it, in the warmest, brightest, safest spot in the entire landscape. There was shelter, caves, huts, raised platforms, walls between the soft infant and the teeth in the dark. And there was the simple, deadly fact that humans are the most dangerous animal that has ever lived. By the time our babies were being born this helpless, the adults around them were apex predators armed with spears, fire, traps, and coordinated group tactics. Any animal that learned to associate human camp with easy baby would run into a wall of the deadliest hunters on Earth. Over thousands of years, predators that targeted human young simply didn't last. The lesson got written into the wild itself. Leave the human babies alone. So why don't animals attack the most defenseless creature on Earth? Not because the baby could protect itself. It couldn't, not even slightly. It survived because it was never truly alone, not for a single moment. It survived inside a fortress of arms that passed it from hand to hand. Behind a wall of adults no predator dared cross. It survived because its cry didn't call death. It called help, summoning the deadliest animals on the planet to its defense. It survived by the fire in the shelter at the very center of the safest place its world had to offer. Every human who has ever lived was once that helpless, soft, screaming infant, including you. And you're here, watching this, for one reason. Somewhere back through hundreds of thousands of years, an unbroken line of people refused to put the baby down. That's the real answer. The most defenseless creature on Earth survived not because it was strong, but because, for our entire history, we have been a species that builds a wall around the weakest thing we have, and we still are. That instinct that makes you unable to ignore a crying baby. It's the same one that kept your ancestors alive. It's still in you right now.